Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Matt Horn
is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
So, Cloud, you were a soldier first class, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Really? What's weird about it?
Nothing. Just that you were the same rank.
Huh? As who?
The first guy I ever loved.
Matt, where are you? Dude, I keep calling you, you keep not picking up. I'm telling you, you gotta buy Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's incredible, okay? It's the remade version of Final Fantasy VII, arguably the best in the series, and it's incredible. And not only does it feature the voice talents of guys like John Bentley, that guy is a great guy, by the way, but there's this incredible guy named Vic Chao who's voicing Tseng, and man, that guy's incredible. You gotta check it out, dude. Please, trust me on this one. Buy it.
On the line. We have Vic Chao talking to us from. Where are you talking to us from, Vic?
I'm talking to you from Los Angeles in my little sound recording booth right now.
Obviously, I do have to ask you the question, is it the locked down Los Angeles?
It is indeed the lockdown Los Angeles. So it's a little bit difficult, but, you know, honestly, I mean, you got to do what you got to do in order to keep yourself and society safe and healthy. So if this is what it takes, then we're going to keep ourselves locked down. There's definitely some protesting about it, but I do know that the majority of people do support the lockdown efforts.
Obviously, we are talking about COVID-19, as if you haven't guessed.
Yes, of course.
Yes, that's been a running thing for the last week or so. What's it been like for you with this whole crisis?
It's been a lesson in adaptability. Well, first of all, I have to say I am tremendously blessed because I'm in a much better position than a lot of people. You know, I find myself complaining about some things, just thinking, oh man, if I only had a backyard, this would be so much different. I could handle this so much better, and my family, my children could handle this lockdown so much better. And then I think about it, and I think about the fact that people who don't have enough money to buy stores of diapers or formula or food, you know, they're saying the same thing about that. They're just saying, if I had enough money to buy extra diapers and stuff like that, things would be so much better. So honestly, I don't have anything to complain about, because as long as I can provide the essentials for my family, we're blessed, you know. And if I can just throw this out there, please, if you are able to, please consider donating to food banks, diaper banks, anything else, because there's so many people out there who really, really need your help. So having said that, how have things been for me as an actor and a voice actor? It's been a lesson in adaptability. Early on in this, I just said, okay, well, you know, looking at the state of Hollywood these days, on-camera work is just shutting down. So all that's going to be left is voice work, and I need to spend the time and the money to upgrade my system, and that's what I've been frantically doing. So I went and got myself, you know, a sound booth, fully enclosed sound booth. It's getting a little warm in here, but that's okay. But yeah, I got myself a fully enclosed sound booth, upgraded my microphone, upgraded my preamp, upgraded all my software and everything like that, so that I can record studio quality from home, because this is my only way to work. And I've been very blessed because I've actually been able to work 2 jobs remotely so far, and that's 2 jobs that I wouldn't have been able to work otherwise. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been fun, and I've just been learning a lot of new things, which is great. I used to be an engineer, so I do actually appreciate all this crazy tech that I used to never even think about, you know. So now I'm like figuring out how to work the preamps, how to use all these different softwares, these audio softwares and stuff like that. So it's been a fun challenge.
Do you think that when this whole thing is over, gaming companies, voiceover companies, etc., are going to go to people and go, actually, instead of, you know, coming to us, just do it from your house?
It's a really good question. I think in general, businesses will be looking at how they can cut down on costs. And basically, if they're finding that their workers can adequately do their job at home, they might want to continue that trend. And I think that would apply whether it's in the voiceover industry or simply in, standard office jobs and stuff like that. I think the face of working society will change in a lot of ways, and certainly voiceover could be one of them.
Obviously, this has conjured up two terms I like using in this podcast. Nobody else does, but here we go. Self-isolation, social distancing, as it were.
Yes.
What's it been like for you keeping 2 meters away from everybody?
Oh my gosh. I try really hard not to go out nowadays, but we got a dog, and dogs got to go pee, and I actually have given serious thought to pad training the dog to go to the bathroom on pads indoors. But as of yet, we're still walking the dog. And the thing that always goes through my head is Jason Bourne in The Bourne Identity, where he's like, where he's discovering, something strange about himself. And he's like, every time I'm out someplace, I'm checking out the sight lines and I'm planning my exit. And that's exactly how I am when I walk the dog. It's like, I'm just constantly scanning around. I'm looking ahead of me, behind me, to the sides. Who's coming my way? Can I step out into the street? Is it safe to step into the cars? I'm planning my exits all the time. So I'm basically the OCD Jason Bourne is what it comes down to. And yeah, it's tough also because this is new to all of us. So we're being told in the States 6 feet because we use the imperial system that makes absolutely no sense, and I'm so jealous of everybody else who uses the metric system. But anyway, we're told 6 feet. I know I've certainly been reading speculation that 6 feet or 2 meters is not enough, that maybe 4 meters is more appropriate, or possibly 6 meters, who knows. So basically, I try to spend a lot of time, I try to just give myself as much space as possible, and that means a lot of crossing over and zigzagging and moving back and forth. My dog is very confused. It's kind of like playing a human game of Frogger in some ways.
I've noticed that because I've got a cat. Ever since this started, the cat's been socially distant with me. Are you getting something with your dog?
In other words, the cat is behaving exactly as normal?
Yeah. Are you noticing it with your dog?
The dog is really confused because the dog sees all her old friends and neighbors, and of course all a dog wants to do is just run around and slobber all over them and say hi and stuff like that. And instead, I pull her away and she's like, hey, what's going on? That's Ed. We like Ed. That's Charlie. But yeah, nothing can be done right now, and it's tough with the kids. I do my best to try and find times to let the kid exercise and get some exercise outdoors and stuff while wearing a mask. And one thing that actually is a little bit fun is that I come from a heavy gymnastics and martial arts background, so I've actually been teaching him gymnastics and martial arts at home. So that's actually been kind of fun. And I also realized that I was way too harsh of a coach when I used to coach kids.
Well, obviously, whilst we're here, we can also mention about a certain UK news story, which is that there is a 99-year-old man, I'm not sure how far this has got worldwide, but there's a 99-year-old man who has finished his laps going around his garden on a Zimmer frame, basically. And he had a target for £1,000 to raise money for the NHS. And okay. 2 weeks on, he's got £28 million.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And has also actually got the #1 single in the UK.
No way. Who is this gentleman?
He's Captain Tom Moore.
Captain Tom Moore.
Yeah.
This is a man I am going to have to look up.
Yeah.
Good for him. So he's just raising money by having people donate for when he walks around his garden?
Pretty much.
Did I understand that correctly?
Pretty much was what he did, yeah.
Oh, good for him.
And he's touched the English heart, basically.
That's wonderful. Good for him.
So there is a positive side in all the doom and gloom.
Oh, good. Yeah. Glad to hear that.
Okay, so the reason why we've got you here is because of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
And obviously I do have to start off this part of the podcast by saying I am aware that it's been released, and it's been released for 2 weeks, And this isn't it, basically. This is not the full game. This is chapter 1 of some amount that's undisclosed at the minute. Could be anything. It could be 2, 3, 4. We don't know. But this is chapter 1, essentially, of the story. We spoke before the interview. You hadn't played the original, had you?
I had not. I've heard wonderful things about it, and my wife spent one wonderful summer where she just played number 9 over and over again and was just like constantly leveling up after she had finished it, and it sounds wonderful. But I have not played it. I am a rather obsessive person, so when I play video games, I can't stop, and I do that thing where I play it and it's just like I wolf down food, just as quickly as I can. Then I rush to the restroom in order to go to the bathroom as quickly as possible, and I sprint back. It's a wonderful, wonderful pastime, but unfortunately, I can't get anything done when I go through those phases. And basically, once you get kids, that all has to end. So I miss those days.
Obviously, it has a massive fandom.
I apologize for interrupting you, but I have to say the outreach of the Final Fantasy fan base has been so gratifying. It's just been very overwhelming for me because I tend to be pretty shy, and I have a lot of trouble talking about myself and things that I'm working on and stuff like that. And so many people have just reached out to me just to say really kind things, and it's been wonderful. The Final Fantasy fans have been great. So I apologize for interrupting, but that thought just popped into my head. Go ahead, please.
Funny enough, the question was going to be, how's the response been to your character of Tseng?
Okay, all right, there you go. No, they've been great. They've been just so positive and so encouraging, and that's a wonderful feeling for somebody like me who's introverted and a little bit shy and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate how great and encouraging the fan base has been.
I found out not so long ago that the original code name for the project was The End.
That is correct, yes, End.
Which people are sort of thinking, how does he know that?
I was wondering how you learned that, but yes, I'm sure you have your sources, and I don't think that code name is secret anymore, so that's just fine.
So what was production of the game like for you?
You want to know something funny? Was I did not know that it was Final Fantasy until I came in for my first recording session. So I was told that I booked End, and I'm like, oh great, wonderful. And I walked in and they said this is Final Fantasy, and I was like, whoa. So I was kind of I was blown away to learn at the recording session that I was working on Final Fantasy.
Bit of a personal question. You mentioned that your wife played Final Fantasy IX. Mm-hmm. When you went in and obviously you found out it was Final Fantasy, and then you obviously came back, did you basically say, this is what I've done? And she's like, what?
I take NDAs super seriously, so I actually didn't tell her. I actually didn't tell her until it actually came out, and she's like, what? You were working on Final Fantasy? I withheld that crucial piece of information, and also remember her reaction was similar to when she finally learned that I had worked on Mortal Kombat 10, where she was like, I cannot believe you didn't tell me this whole time. So yeah, it's hard to keep a secret. With Mortal Kombat, I had voiced Goro, Kenshi Takahashi, Sector, and Triborg, and I still didn't tell her until the game came out, and she was excited and a little bit annoyed that I didn't tell her, and with Final Fantasy VII, she was excited and a little bit annoyed that I didn't tell her.
When you walk into the room and obviously they say to you, this is Final Fantasy, did you feel the pressure? There seems to be a lot of this with the cast. Obviously they know of the franchise, or at least have heard the franchise. When you obviously got told, did you suddenly think, oh God, what am I going to do?
I don't think I felt it in terms of a doom. It wasn't dire or anything like that. There's certainly a ton of excitement. I know that I'm not working in a vacuum, so I know I've got really talented voice directors like Colette Sunderman and Kirk Thornton directing me and making sure that I'm getting them what they need, and they've certainly done their homework, and there's just, a ton of technical people making sure the sound's good, and all these talented writers. And even when we were doing this, we had sort of like a consultant and intermediary who was, fluent in Japanese as well as English. So he's on the line with contacts in Japan who are also listening in on the session to make sure that everybody's getting what they need. So while it is certainly intimidating, I've got my confidence in the people that I'm working with.
Are there any sort of funny anecdotes you can share about the production of the game?
The main funny anecdote was just not realizing that it was Final Fantasy until I walked into the room. So that was quite a memorable experience for me. Let me think what else it was. I don't know if this was funny. I'm trying to get a hold of his character, and I'm having a little bit of trouble of Tseng's character, and I'm having a little trouble because I realize, if he's a good character, I'm going to try to make his voice a good guy and make it smooth and pleasant and stuff. And if he's a bad character, I'm going to give him a little bit of growl, maybe just, use my voice, use my inflection a little bit and my enunciation to make him sound a little bit more evil. But with Tseng, it was tough because I was having trouble figuring out if he was a good guy or a bad guy. And then the word ambiguous popped into my head, and I checked with him. I was like, okay, so is Tseng a good guy or a bad guy, or is it ambiguous? And they're like, he's ambiguous. And that opened things up so much more for me, because that made me realize, oh yeah, he's a fully fleshed character that has the dichotomy that we all have. There are good elements in all of us. There are lousy elements in all of us. And you can see it in his interactions with Aerith versus his interactions with other people in the world, in the realm. So I thought that was notable for me.
Well, let's talk a bit about you, Vic, you yourself.
All right.
Yeah. What made you want to get into acting and voiceover in the first place?
I make this joke a lot. It's overcompensation. I do believe that everybody who becomes an actor does so because they wanted to be a little bit more than what they were. They wanted to be a little bit funnier, or a little bit cooler or sexier or whatever. So a lot of it was overcompensation. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a ton of fun. But as a kid growing up, who was very strong academically, but very small, I was really scrawny all the way up until age 16. And so I got bullied a lot. And it definitely affected my outlook on things, and it's like I always just wanted to prove myself. I always wanted to prove myself that I could be more than what I was. And it's funny because I remember Spider-Man and what a huge influence that was on me, and realizing that Peter Parker was this bullied, scrawny, academic nerd, but then he had this secret identity where he was special, and I wanted desperately to be Spider-Man. And so being an actor basically allows me to be more than what I am, and it's fun. And I mentioned, I really like being like these tough guys when I voice roles. I love being that badass type, because that's not how I am in real life. So it's kind of fun to get to pretend to be something else. But I do try to mention the fact that I was bullied a lot, just because I want other people to realize that it's okay. If you got bullied, if you're getting bullied, it's okay. It sure does suck when you're going through it, but things get better, and sometimes it makes you stronger and shapes the way you are as a person. And I feel confident that I wouldn't be an actor if it weren't for some of the more difficult childhood things that I went through. And I'd probably still be an engineer. Which was not a bad lifestyle at all. I certainly enjoyed it, but it's not nearly as much fun as being an actor.
Well, I have had a look at the trivia part of your IMDb. So where do I start? Well, obviously you mentioned about mechanical engineering. You graduated from Stanford with that, but you were also a cheerleader.
Yes. I had started gymnastics when I was in high school. My high school team just happened to have a gymnastics team. which is a little bit unusual, but I also kind of figured, well, here I am starting my freshman year. I weigh 94 pounds. I'm 4'11". If I'm going to be small all my life, I might as well go into a sport where it's good to be small. So I was like, well, there's wrestling or there's gymnastics. And honestly, gymnastics was more like Spider-Man, because Spider-Man would do flips and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And gymnastics was this amazing thing for me because it actually taught me athletics. It taught me just how much I could accomplish through sheer hard work, because I didn't necessarily have a lot of innate talent in gymnastics, but it made me just realize something that's actually an adage for me in life right now, which is whatever I lack in talent, I can make up for in hard work. And I remind myself of that all the time, and excuse me, a similar version of that is when I work on something, I'll say sometimes, they can say that I sucked, but they'll never say I didn't work hard enough. Becoming a gymnast, helped me grow a lot as a person. And then I got to Stanford and I wanted to continue being a gymnast, and I tried to join the Stanford gymnastics team, and I was technically a walk-on for all of 2 weeks. But when the Stanford gymnastics team is the number one team in the country, when they have 2 national champions and a guy who goes on to win the silver medal in Atlanta, I was not very needed. So I became a cheerleader instead, and that was a blast because I discovered I can still tumble and perform, but it's a lot easier on your body. And eventually, I wound up parlaying that into being the mascot for the Chicago Bulls. So I'm really grateful for that crazy path of events that allowed me to be the mascot with the Bulls and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and stuff.
Tell us a bit more about being a mascot for the Chicago Bulls.
They had a mascot named Benny the Bull for years and years. This wonderful, wonderful guy named Dan Lemonnier, like this middle-aged man with glasses that would always fog up whenever he put on the head, and he would shuffle around and do his adorable thing. He was a youth pastor when he wasn't the Bulls mascot, and then they also added on a athletic dunking mascot later on when that became the trend, because they didn't want to get rid of Dan because he had been there for so long. So they added on a dunking athletic mascot, and I became the dunking athletic mascot. So basically there was a friendly bull and there was a fierce bull. So I was the fierce athletic bull.
Okay. You also competed on American Gladiators.
Yeah, I got crushed on that. That was painful. I mean, are you familiar with American Gladiators? Did that reach over to the UK?
I don't know now if it was us that created it in the first place or if it was the Americans. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I guess there's certainly a ton of things that originate in the UK and we have no idea because we just think that we came up with it. So there was a Gladiators type of show in the UK.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we had Jet and Wolf and names of that nature.
They had the cool nicknames going there as well, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, but yes, that was a lot of fun. I did well on the events where pure size was not an issue. So assault, it's basically a big obstacle course while the gladiators try to fire tennis balls at you. That one I did well on. And there's the wall, which is a big climbing wall, and I did well on that. But then there's a game called Powerball. I actually don't know how to play rugby, but if I were to guess, I feel like the closest equivalent would probably be rugby, because you're just trying to grab a ball and score a goal while people are just tackling you without any protective gear on or anything like that. And I just got crushed on that one. That was just so painful. And I remember at one point, one of the gladiators named Tower, he managed to catch me with both arms, one under my crotch, one under my shoulder, and he literally threw me over his shoulder, and slammed me down onto my back onto the floor. And I remember the whole crowd just with a collective ooh once I landed on the ground. So that was painful, and I do remember counting the number of places where I was bleeding from floor burns afterwards. I think it was 14 or so. Good time, very painful. And I suppose the modern equivalent now is American Ninja Warrior, which I actually did try out for. I did not get on, and that's probably okay too, I guess.
And as an experiment, you once existed only on items from the 99-cent store for a week.
Yes, thank you for checking out. Thank you for researching me a little bit. It's kind of fun reliving some of these memories. Yeah, my first apartment in Los Angeles is this tiny little studio that would get incredibly hot in the summertime. I remember no AC. It was about 300 square feet or so, but it was right down the street from a 99-cent store. And I was like, oh, this place is amazing. And so I was like, can I live on things from the 99-cent store only? And the answer is yes. Pretty darn easy. Peanut butter, bread, milk, eggs. I think it was $17 plus tax. So probably I was able to live for $18. I think that was my recollection. And yeah, not too bad at all, you know. And like I said, you know, I'm fortunate because that was an experiment. You know, there's other people who are not nearly as fortunate. And so again, sorry to mention again, but please consider donating to any food banks or any charities that might help people in need at this time.
So obviously we get into your IMDb now. We get into the actual credits.
All right.
I enjoyed many of these credits. Just looking at them, I was thinking, what on earth am I going to pick out of this? And the first thing I actually will go on about is the fact that you're known for Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, that was the granddaddy of all the Sharknado, you know, movies, you know. So that was the thing that spawned all those other crazy movies that came out. But yes, we were the original Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. It was such a wonderful, silly, ridiculous experience. And I got to be the romantic interest to Deborah Gibson, which is incredible because I had a huge crush on her back in high school. And so to actually get to play her romantic interest just blew me away. And it was a wonderful statement that it was an Asian male with the Caucasian female. So I love the progressiveness of the writer-director Jack Perez in his script and everything. That guy is a mad genius. He did all those practical special effects where it's like you use perspective simply to make a small model look like a giant hunk of whale washed up on the beach. But I had such a blast shooting that. And I remember when the trailer first came out, it was so ludicrous. There was a shot of a shark taking a giant bite out of the Golden Gate Bridge, as well as a shark leaping into the sky to take a bite out of an airplane. And that ludicrous just made it one of the top 10 most watched trailers that year. So if you look at the top 10 watched trailers for that year, 9 of them are these huge budget, mega blockbusters. Avatar was definitely one of them, and all sorts of things. So there was Avatar, all sorts of other blockbuster giant studio movies, and Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. So I take great pride in being part of such a ridiculous movie like that.
Now, this is where it gets a bit stranger, because normally most interviewers wouldn't make the jump or the leap. But in the same year, in Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus...
If I may point out, and I apologize for interrupting, but just a couple of things I want to mention is that if you watch the movie, there's a lot more shark appearing than octopus, because when it comes to special effects, graphics, it's a lot easier to make one wiggling shark than an octopus with 8 ridiculous tentacles. So that's a little bit of trivia if you watch that movie. And also, there's this one guy, Mike, who appears in this movie constantly, and it's great because he was part of the crew. but they always just brought him in when they needed a warm body in front of the camera. So you'll see him as a passenger in the plane. You'll see him as a security guard. You'll see him as a passerby. So basically, if you want to play a drinking game, you can play Where's Mike, Spot Mike. But anyway, go ahead. I apologize, Matt. Please continue.
Well, as I said, most interviewers wouldn't make the connection, but I'm going to. So in Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus, you played CJ Shimata. Is that correct pronunciation?
Senji Shimada, yes.
But in the same year that was released, you also were in Command & Conquer Red Alert 3 Uprising, playing Dr. Shimada.
Yes, exactly. So an amazing coincidence. I just take to roles entitled Shimada. So hopefully there'll be another video game or a movie coming out that needs a Mr. Shimada, and if there is, I'm all over it.
They should make something like the Shimada Chronicles or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh dear. So yes, I think it's time to go on about the game which I played. It was the only game where I thought, bloody hell, that's a clever ending. It's Bioshock Infinite. What was it like working on that?
That was a really funny one, because if there's a ratio for the amount of fan acclaim to the amount of minutes I spent recording the role, Bioshock Infinite wins out by far. Like, that ratio was ridiculous, because I think my session lasted 13 minutes or something like that. It was incredibly brief because, with Bioshock Infinite, you're basically on a quest to find me. I'm the weapons maker. It's an important side quest, and you're on a quest to find me. But for the most part, I'm largely just saying, "Help! Over here!" I don't actually have that many lines in it, but I got so much response from that job, and it was cool to be part of that franchise.
Well, I should point out, because I've got it here, in a month or so, it may even be a couple of weeks, they're actually releasing the whole thing, the whole Bioshock collection, on the Switch.
Really? The entire collection?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's awesome. I did not know that. Thank you for letting me know.
Obviously, I needed to mention that. You've mentioned Mortal Kombat 10. Obviously, again, another massive franchise, which you must have been thinking, oh, God, how am I going to do this?
I got to yell a lot in that one. Goro is a particular throat ripper. Because you're going right down over through this level of gruffness and raspiness. So that one's quite a throat ripper. I remember my voice being hoarse and pained for 3 days, and just like not being able to talk for 3 days afterwards. But totally worth it.
From gaming to sort of film, and this one's an interesting one because I'll tell you something, I didn't cover it. And I sort of wish I had have when it came out. Of course, I'm talking about Ready Player One. What was it like working on that? Because that was a massive game changer for people in terms of the gaming industry. I mean, there was so much nostalgia and Easter eggs, and you had to sort of look out for things.
It was, and the book had even more. Did you read the book by any chance?
I got it. I didn't get a chance to read it. I watched the film.
Totally cool, of course. Yeah, no, the book and the movie were both just wonderful trips down memory lane. Like I just felt like I was the perfect age demographic for that, and just getting to relive all of my favorite video games from childhood, especially Adventure. Oh my gosh, I was obsessed with Adventure. I love that game so incredibly much. In fact, actually, for Halloween, as an adult, I actually was the game Adventure. I handcrafted this costume with every component of Adventure. All 3 dragons, the chalice, the bridge, the sword, the bats, of course. The bat was my headpiece and stuff like that. And I actually tracked down Warren Robinette, and I just emailed him a photo of it, and he said, "Hey, cool photo, thanks." He said, "By the way, I had a programming glitch in the game, and 3% of the time the golden key is inside the golden castle. So that was a slight mistake. And I was like, I kind of concluded that from some of the games that I played that the golden key must be in the golden castle, but it's totally cool. Thank you for all the joy that you gave me. And in fact, I still have Adventure on a little emulator that is fun to play every now and then. But anyway, what a huge digression. Sorry, I could go on about childhood video games for so long. Yes, going back to your original question. Oh, it was wonderful. What an honor that they actually sought out, the voice of Goro from Mortal Kombat 10 to voice Goro in the movie Ready Player One. Boy, was that process secretive. I remember, there was an NDA, I'm sure, and I remember walking onto the Fox lot. And traditionally, when you walk onto the Fox lot for a audition or to shoot something, you park your car and you just walk over there. And this time, I park my car and walk over there, and there's an escort there for me. The escort's with me, the entire time. Waits for me outside the restroom. Like, this is some secretive stuff. They escort me into the sound studio, and it's so secret, they don't let me see the footage of what's going on. They just describe for me in general terms what's happening. They let me listen to a temp track, and so then I just have to do my Goro voice, simulating the temp track as much as possible, particularly the timing, because clearly the animation has already been done. So I just have to try and hit all the beats of the timing. I forget the lines or something like, "You can't just go around like that." So it was really fun, but it was just kind of funny not having any idea what the actual scene looked like. And then to see it in the actual theater was a really great feeling.
So obviously you've been in a lot of stuff on camera. It's not just gaming that we're here for. Which actors and actresses have been your favourites to work with and why? And who would you like to work with in the future?
Tony Shalhoub jumps out at me immediately because he's just such a good guy. Worked with him on Monk, and he's the executive producer as well as the star of the show. And so the thing is, the way I describe it is when you come onto a TV show to make a guest appearance on a TV show, it's kind of like walking into a house party where everybody else knows each other and are really good friends and they've been hanging out for years, and you're the only person there who doesn't know anybody. So that's kind of what it feels like sometimes when you make a guest appearance on a show. And I remember, it's 6 a.m. I walk up into the makeup trailer. The moment I open the door, there's Tony Shalhoub in his makeup chair, turns around, shakes my hand, and said, "Hey, Vic, Tony, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're really happy to have you." And I was just like, wow, I just feel so welcome and so valued, and I really appreciate it. And I would work with Tony Shalhoub again in a heartbeat.
Who would you like to work with in the future?
Well, Tony Shalhoub, absolutely. I love working with Debbie Gibson. I'm sorry, Deborah. Debbie was, of course, her younger moniker. She is Deborah now, but she's wonderful because she's so down to earth. She's always singing. So her musical thing is not an act or anything like that. She's just always singing, and she's just really friendly. And I remember asking her, as we got to know each other better, I said, "How is it that you were a star when you were 16 years old, but you're still totally approachable and normal and everything?" And she said, "Well, I had a lot of brothers and sisters, and there is no way that they would have let me have a big head growing up. So they made sure to keep me grounded." So I appreciate that. And yeah, Deborah Gibson's pretty awesome.
Obviously, I have to ask this question. It annoys actors so much. Are there any roles that you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
Yes. What I am is somebody who sounds like he could be cool, and in fact looks like he could be kind of cool because, I'm athletic, I'm a gymnast, a martial artist and stuff like that. But I'm a huge dork. I'm just really awkward and introverted, and I'm dorky, and I stutter sometimes when I get nervous, and and stuff. So if there's a role for somebody who looks like he could be cool but is in fact a complete dork, that is my dream role, because then I could just be myself. So really, if that role exists somewhere, then I would love to do that, or I'll just have to write that role myself. I will say I've been, reading children's books with my kids, and the wackiness of Willy Wonka. I would love to play Willy Wonka. Of course, Gene Wilder, broke the mold, and so you would never want to be compared to Gene Wilder and the amazing stuff that he did. But yes, somebody who's a mad genius like Willy Wonka, I would love to do that, because I'd always wanted to be a mad genius, although I think I'm largely just more of an eccentric smart guy. But playing a mad genius would be cool.
You say mad genius. Supposedly, and you'll have to tell me how on earth you've got this, but you've got an uncanny memory for old commercial jingles.
Oh, yes. I don't know why. I actually wasn't allowed to watch much television when I was growing up, but yeah, for some reason, like commercial jingles from the 70s, they just all ring through my head, and my wife finds it entirely weird, but it's just like, now you see it, now you don't. Here you have it, here you won't. Oh, diet Pepsi, 1 small calorie. Now you see it, now you don't. And then there's not too sweet. It's a taste that can't be beat. Canada Dry Ginger Ale, it's not too sweet. Oh my gosh, I love commercial jingles. I don't know why, but they're just a lot of fun, and they're stuck in my brain forever. And my dream is that someday on Final Jeopardy, they're gonna ask me the lyrics to something, the Oscar Mayer commercial or something like that, and I'll just be like, my baloney has a first name, so it'll be great. So yes, I love those silly commercial jingles.
I dare ask if you sing commercial jingles in the car, in the shower.
and mostly when it just pops into my head randomly. That's when it's most fun. If something sparks a memory, then yeah, that's when it's most fun to just bring back that nostalgia.
Well, I'm going to give you some more time so you can sing a few more.
Cheery Oreos, crunchy Oreos. What else? Feeling like cinnamon toast crunch. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Alex Trebek. If this was Final Jeopardy and I just had to name a whole bunch, Alex Trebek would be staring at me crossly right now. It seems like there was a lot of them that were soda popped and candy bars. No matter how you slice it, it comes out peanuts. That was Snickers, but I don't even remember if there was lines after that. Marathon John. This wasn't even a jingle. I just remember the Marathon John commercials, because the Marathon bars were the ones that were a foot long, and so when you're a kid, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so long. Although they cheated a little bit because it was braided. It was like a braided chocolate and caramel thing. So there was a lot of empty space, because there was air spaces between everything like that. Charleston, give it a whack and a biggie snack. Charleston, it's a chewy chew. That was the Charleston Chew. Anyway. Thanks for taking me down that memory lane. These are fun, silly, random memories.
Well, I'm going to give you a 1-minute plug. I'm devilish, I am. Do I get you to do a 1-minute plug regarding Final Fantasy, where you can make up your own commercial jingle?
Final Fantasy VII Remake. You loved the original, and now it's back. With more thrills, excitement, coming soon. Final Fantasy number 7, it's been remade. That's the best I can do.
Yeah. And anything else you've got coming up?
I know that you hear this all the time. I've got this project, which is super cool. I'm under NDA, so I can't say it. And then there's this NDA project, so I can't say that. I will say there's an amazing role coming up on Ben 10. That's the Cartoon Network's animated series. And that one's a pretty darned amazing role, and I'm super excited about that. So do keep tabs on that one. I would love to invite people to follow me on various social media. I'm shy again, so it actually really helps if people follow me and engage with me because it's hard for me to talk about myself. So the more you guys engage with me, the more encouraged I am to do this sort of thing. So on Twitter, my handle is Vic Chao. That's V as in Victor, I as in India, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, H as in Hotel, A as in Alpha, O as in Oscar. So Twitter, it's Vic Chao, VICCHAO. On Instagram, it's Vic Chao 1. That's the number 1. So VICCHAO 1. And on Facebook, it's Vic Chao Actor. So would love for you guys to engage with me, and it helps. So please do follow me and feel free to ping me with any questions that you might have.
Well, Vic, it's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciate you taking the time. It's actually a lot of fun. What time is it for you out there, by the way?
It's coming about 9 o'clock now.
9 o'clock. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and I appreciate how much you researched me to ask these questions that dredged up some old memories from the past. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye. Thank you.